Shot session.
Okay.
It was a question as to how to avoid M.E.C.
A M.E.C. Ooh, that's technical, bro.
Yeah, bro, I was reading.
Were you prepping for me? Oh my gosh.
Let me figure something out.
Oh my goodness. No, that's good. And you have friends, which is great, which I'm assuming is in the industry, so you have good counsel on your side. So a M.E.C is called a Modified Endowment Contract, and it's more specific to the permanent plans of insurance. That's has nothing to do with the term, right? Because what it's saying is that there's tax advantages of using a permanent policy, like an index universal life. There's tax advantages to it, right? I mean, any death benefit you get paid out is not taxed. The IRS doesn't look at that as income. So that, again, when I'm talking about that legacy building, it's very different, because I get a lot of people who are like, well, I have a house, they can sell it, and well, first of all, they act like selling a house is tomorrow. That's not how that works. You gotta find a realtor. You gotta find a real estate attorney. You gotta pay them their fees. You gotta, but yes, you can sell the house, but then that is taxed, right?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, I definitely got to pay.
You felt with that.
Definitely got to pay for. You know what I mean? So, it's different than when you have like a death benefit, then that's tax-free, right? So there's tax advantages within those permanent plans. You want to avoid a M.E.C. Now there's reasons to do a M.E.C, and that's, can get a little bit more technical, but when you have a modified endowment contract, it's saying you put too much money into a policy.
Okay.
Right? So when we talk about overfunding, when I'm putting it in my computer, it'll let me know, like, hey, you're putting too much in here. And it'll become a
cover that. That's what it was like.
Well, then it becomes taxable.
That's what it. That's what I thought it was like. We're not touching that.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
No, and once it becomes that, you can't reverse it.
No.
Yeah.
Like give me
right. You can't be like, no, never mind. I won't put it in.
I was just playing.
They say, okay, well,
you
sorry.
Too much.
But keeping it real goes wrong. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh no.
So you want to be really careful. I mean, there could be reasons as to why someone would want to do that, right? But normally, the beauty of what that benefit is the tax advantage, right? It's the ability to take the loan out without any taxes, do what we do. Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. So when you have, they use like a 7-year test to determine like, did they put too much money within these like 7 years that it's too much, right? Because when you look at what we call an illustration, you'll see like 2 columns, and the column of cash accumulation or cash value is never going to be more than the death benefit, and it can't be, or you lose that tax advantage, and that's where the M.E.C comes in. So now you're saying, okay, you bought this cup for 100, but you're putting in 50,000. It doesn't make sense. Why? Right. There's loopholes, but they're kind of smart. They're like,
gonna take it easy.
Right. They're like, we're letting you do that, but don't be crazy. You know what I mean? And so, your professional will know.
So you'll be advised when you're putting too much, but if you put already too much, you just won't get that cantazo back.
Well, you'll know that before it even starts, right? So we have software that will tell us
you're about to hit it.
Well, if you put this much, it'll hit it.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't want that to happen, scale back. Yeah.
Right.
And you could do the reverse way too. Some people will try to manipulate it, where they're saying, oh yeah, you could pay 100 or 150, but the structure itself really needs 200 to 300. So you can do what's called a lapse, where you're not putting enough money into the policy, and then the policy would just stop because it's saying you haven't put enough into it.
Will you at least get a warning?
Well,
or that's just like, you
will. Well, I mean,
depends.
You get that warning the same way you get the M.E.C. You get the same warning
so you should be already.
So your professional should be aware. Of like, okay, this is gonna end because he's not putting enough into what this is worth even. Right? So there's the opposite where you do the M.E.C where you put too much, and then there's the lapse where you don't put enough. And so that's why it's important that you work with a professional, specifically with like the permanent like index, and I say index universal life, but like whole life, like all of that, right? To make sure that you're putting in sufficient for what you want it to do. So like, for example, I'm saying as adults, there's a certain amount based on your age that you should be overfunding, right? So if you're in your 30s, you should be putting 30% more than what that policy is actually worth. to see the value grow accordingly. If you're in your 40s, you should put at least 40% more. If you're in your 50s, you should be putting 50%. Now, if you're under 30, you have the gift of time.
Right.
Right? So these
God
plans,
willing, yes.
yes.
Everybody living.
Yes, but these plans are really time-based. So when I structure these, I tell people this is not like a side piece. This is not like,
Yeah.
this is what we're doing with this is a long-term strategy. Right? So if you envision this in 5 years, this is not it, because you're going to waste your money. Because if you want out of this, you're not going to even get what you put into it.
Yeah,
So it doesn't make sense, right? Just like when you put a 401k, you're not just like, well, let me put it in and I put, no, because you know you're going to get hit with the penalties, you're going to get taxes.
Right.
This is the same structure. So people who are younger have the gift of time because they're already putting in so much more time than someone in their 30s or 40s, right? Because we start looking at how we can utilize that, you know, maybe 50s, you know, depending again on what you're trying to use it for.
Like to cut your chin. Oh no, go ahead. Keep your knowledge. You got
well, I'm just saying, like with my children, right? The idea is like we are going to utilize this for college, but if he got it at 2, I got 16 years before I'm even like I'm not even looking at it, right? And so at that time point now I could say, okay, puppy, okay, we're going to college, cool. You don't have to worry about it. Let's, you know, you can still apply for FAFSA and see what you can get, right? Because they're not going to look at the cash accumulation the way they would look at maybe some other assets, right? And if you don't want to do that, what do you want to do? You want to open a t-shirt shop? Cool. There's your money. Go open it. You want to flip your own house? You want to buy a building? Sure. There's some money. Let's see what we can do with it, right? It's just, for me, different options, again, for my children, what I want, what I've seen it do for other people and other clients who want to utilize it, so.
Yeah, and you was mentioning like the age, like certain age. I was seeing where like, I think we was mentioning, or if we didn't mention the final, I think it's final expense and or burial insurance.
Yeah.
Where, if I'm not mistaken, is one or the other where it's like 55, that's when you get it, or is it any age?
No, so final expense, so burial expense is really kind of that last resort.
It's a shot session.